So much to talk about this week, from the State House to the White House, but this morning we're going to start at City Hall. Tomorrow, a Cook County judge will rule on whether or not the city's vaccine mandate for city workers can remain in place. The FOP has tried to block the mandate for weeks, and on Friday, a group of aldermen attempted to repeal the mayor's mandate, supporting the police union in opposing the requirement that officers and other city workers need to be vaccinated, and for now, to report their vaccination status. But those efforts were unsuccessful. So now, well, it's up to the courts. 36th Ward Alderman and Chairman of the City Council's Latino Caucus joins me this morning to talk about what's next. Alderman Gilbert Villegas. Alderman, good to see you. Thanks for being with me again.
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Paul?
So lots of tension, obviously, about the vaccine status reporting mandate. You actually supported the call for that meeting on Friday, though the final vote of 30-13, it went down. Were you thinking it would pass?
No, I think exactly what was entitled by the sponsors was to bring attention to this issue. There's a lot of information that's out there, and I think that the police officers are concerned that come December 31st, are they going to have jobs if they don't abide by the mandate? And I think that given the high crime and the public safety issue that we're facing here in Chicago, I think this discussion had to be had in person. And so we went ahead and requested a meeting. The city council members came, we debated it, and then as a result of that, the vote was taken, and the ordinance failed.
Obviously, the FOP president, John Catanzara, has said if you don't support the FOP, the aldermen, we're going after your seats in the next election. You were a no vote, along with 29 of your colleagues supporting the mayor. Are you concerned that he may try and come after your seat?
Well, here, listen, an election occurs every 4 years, and it's a contract that that the citizens of our wards agree upon. And so at the end of 4 years, if our constituents think that we're not doing a good job, then they'll go ahead and vote us out. But that's not how we govern, by someone dictating to us how we're going to require to take votes. What we do is we take in information. Again, this ordinance was put forward so that we can have a discussion and a debate on it. The discussion was had, the debate was put forward. The ordinance was not perfect, and we had some issues where taking control would have put us in a position where we would have, as a council, been acting illegal. And so we wanted to make sure that that's not the case. Listen, the discussion is going to continue. Monday, we'll get a court order, and then we'll move on from there.
And just briefly, what are you hearing from the commanders, the police in your district? I assume you're vaccinated, having this discussion with them?
Yes, and we're constantly encouraging the police officers and really the public at large to get vaccinated. I mean, during the pandemic, we had one of the highest positivity rates of COVID. As a result of that, I put forward an effort. We got 10,000 people vaccinated in 8 weeks. And so we're continuing to get folks vaccinated, and we're going to continue to send that message. We got to hit herd immunity and at some point get behind this pandemic.
Let me turn to the budget. It sailed through City Council. Mayor happy about that. But of course, a lot of talk about just a moderate increase in the property tax. But as you know, of course, part of the property tax is this automatic thing tied to the cost of living, which actually is evaluated not on the Chicago cost of living, but a national cost of living, which is a higher number because it includes New York, LA. What is your reaction to that?
Well, I supported the budget because there was a lot of good things in there. And I think we have to give credit to President Biden as well as the Congress for putting forward the American Rescue Plan. But we wanted to make sure that money was just not going to Wall Street in the way of just paying back debt. We wanted to make sure that it was also going to Main Street. And so as a result of that, what you saw from this budget was a lot of investments in the communities, in the human infrastructure. And so I think that it was good. Now, as it relates to the property tax increase, I voted against the tax levy because I felt that recommendations that I had put forward to save the city money were not taken into consideration. I had proposed 2 ideas that would have saved $25 million a year per idea, with $50 million total. And it wasn't taken into consideration. So I think that this budget, we missed an opportunity to be very innovative and be bold as it relates to identifying revenue. And we just went back to the old socking it to the homeowners.
There was some question about sort of the universal income program. Your colleague Matt O'Shea basically said we should not have that and use that money to ease the property tax. Did you agree with him?
Well, I think that it's not a universal program. It's a guaranteed basic income program, which is a smaller pilot program, 5,000 families. And that program is an allowable expenditure according to the federal treasury. And so that's an opportunity that we had, largest pilot program in the country. And I think it's going to be a great investment. And those funds could not have been used to offset the property tax. So I think that my colleague is wrong with that.
And Jack Lavin, CEO of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, basically says property tax hits are coming just as businesses are trying to recover from the pandemic. Not smart to raise property taxes on business.
Yeah, I agree. I think we missed an opportunity here to really take a look at reimagining how we deliver services with technology at the forefront. As you see, when during this pandemic, government was shut down, we're operating through technology, which tells me that we should have explored investments in technology even a little bit further, so that way we can go ahead and try to find savings that we can pass along to homeowners and businesses.
As you know, Springfield handled it till 11th hour, of course. The redistricting, they create the 3rd district, which essentially is amenable for a Latino congressman to be elected. Number one, what is your thought about the creation of that? Number two, you going for it?
Well, first, let me just say this. I want to applaud Speaker Welch, as well as President Harmon, and the members of the Illinois Latino Legislative Caucus for being bold in identifying that 2.2 million Latinos live in the state of Illinois. And had it not been for the population increase in the Latino community, Illinois would have lost 2 seats. So I'm glad that finally the General Assembly went ahead and made the additional Latino plurality seat. And you asked about the opportunity there. Listen, I'm flattered. My service as a U.S. Marine really has installed a deep commitment of service to this country. I'm looking at it, but right now I want to make sure that I give a shout out to the General Assembly for putting forward these maps.
All right, Alderman Gilbert Villegas, come back when you're ready to announce. Thanks for your time this Sunday morning and have a good Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, coming up next on WGN-TV Political Report.
Serving 6 terms in Congress has been an honor of a lifetime, yet it flew by in a flash.
Bowing out, but not done yet. The new maps have convinced Adam Kinzinger to jump out of Congress and into something else. We're going to talk about it next. Plus, an internal battle over the future of Chicago's southwest suburbs. We're breaking down one Democrat's decision to take on her own colleague in Congress.